Sometimes a single sentence doesn't just hurt. It rearranges your entire life. The coffee shop at Main and Cedar was packed the way it always was at noon. Too loud, too close. Steam hissed from the espresso machine. A blender screamed. Someone laughed too hard near the window. Conversations collided and dissolved into noise. Privacy didn't exist here. Nothing stayed contained. Michael Reed stood near the counter, fingers tight around an empty paper cup, waiting for his order. 40 years old. Work boots dusted with dried cement. Jacket zipped despite the heat humming through the room. He came here every day because routine asked nothing of him. Same time, same corner, same silence. He had learned silence the hard way. Life hadn't broken him all at once. It chipped. A friend who stopped calling. A brother who promised help and never showed. A job that thanked him with layoffs. Disappointment didn't shout, it accumulated. So Michael adapted. He nodded. He adjusted. He stayed controlled. The barista called a name that wasn't his. Michael exhaled, shoulders sinking, eyes dropping to the floor. And that's when a small voice said, "Far too close to be accidental." "Excuse me, are you busy?" He looked up. 3 kids stood inches from him. 2 boys and a girl, maybe 7 or 8. School backpacks still on. Faces serious in the way children get when they believe they're doing something important. The girl clutched a folded piece of paper in both hands like it might run away. Michael glanced around instinctively. No frantic parent. No hovering adult. Just noise and movement and strangers minding their own business. He cleared his throat. "Where's your mom or dad?" The kids exchanged looks, the kind without words. The tallest boy spoke. "That's kind of the problem." Something in Michael's chest tightened. He didn't know why. He hadn't earned this conversation. He hadn't invited it. He took a half step back. "Listen," Michael said carefully, already preparing an exit. "You probably shouldn't talk to—" "We picked you," the girl interrupted, pushing the folded paper toward him. Michael froze. "Picked me for what?" The second boy leaned in, lowering his voice like the shop was suddenly dangerous. "Because you look like someone who doesn't leave." Michael swallowed. Before he could respond, the girl unfolded the paper and read from it, slow and serious. "Can you please sit with our mom until her coffee gets cold too?" Michael stared at her. Around them, the coffee shop roared on. Cups clinked. Orders were called. A chair scraped loudly behind him. But the noise faded, replaced by something unfamiliar and sharp. Attention. He followed the girl's nervous glance toward the far end of the shop. A woman sat alone at a small table by the window. Coffee untouched. Phone face down. Coat still on like she hadn't decided whether she was staying or leaving. She smiled politely at no one, staring through the glass as cars passed outside. Michael recognized that posture immediately. Present, but not included, there, but already halfway gone. The boy spoke again, softer now. "She hates when people look at her like she's alone." Michael's grip tightened on the empty cup. This was ridiculous. He was no one. Just a man waiting for coffee, counting minutes, protecting distance like it was oxygen. But the kids were still there, watching him, waiting. And for the first time in a very long while, someone wasn't asking him to disappear. Behind him, at a small table near the window, a woman leaned forward in her chair. Her coat stayed on. Her phone lay face down. She spoke quietly, but the shop carried her words farther than she meant them to go. He didn't show up again. The sentence wasn't sharp. It was flat, used, like she'd said it before, like she already knew how it ended. Her friend sat across from her, stirring a drink without looking up. The woman continued, voice steady but worn. "I should have known. I always know." Michael didn't turn. He didn't need to. The words slipped through the noise and found him anyway. He felt them land, familiar, heavy in a way that didn't surprise him. Around them, nothing changed. Someone laughed near the register. A barista called out a name. A couple argued softly over pastries. Life moved forward without pause. No one noticed the way the woman's shoulders dipped as she spoke. Michael told himself it wasn't his concern. He had trained that instinct carefully. Hear less. Expect less. Stay out of other people's disappointment. Getting involved only reopened doors he'd worked hard to seal shut. He shifted his weight. Eyes on the counter, waiting for his coffee, waiting for the moment to pass. The woman sighed. "Not dramatic. Just tired. I took time off work for this, she said. Again. That was the part that caught him. Not anger. Not shock. Just exhaustion. The sound of someone adjusting expectations downward in real time. Michael swallowed. He knew that sound too well. A small hand tugged at his sleeve. Dad. He looked down. Lily stood there, 8 years old, hair pulled back unevenly because she insisted on doing it herself. Her backpack hung off one shoulder. Mia stood beside her, taller, quieter, eyes already scanning the room. They had finished their snacks. He hadn't noticed them move closer. They always did that. Slipped into moments without noise. Lily's eyes weren't on him. They were fixed on the woman's table. She's sad, Lily said. Simple. Certain. Michael stiffened. She's fine, he replied. Too fast. Mia didn't agree or argue. She just watched. She always watched first. She had grown up learning the pauses in his voice. The moments when he pulled back. She didn't think he was coming, Mia said quietly. But she still hoped. Michael felt the words hit deeper than he expected. He cleared his throat. That's not our business. The woman stood from her chair. Her friend hugged her quickly. A careful hug. One meant not to draw attention. The woman smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She reached for her phone, checked it once more, then slipped it into her bag like she was closing a chapter. Michael's coffee was placed on the counter. Steam curled upward. Ready. Waiting. He remembered nights sitting alone at his kitchen table after the girls went to bed. No messages, no plans, just silence and the low hum of appliances. He had learned how to live inside that quiet without expecting it to change. Lily shifted closer to him. Dad, she said again, softer now. She looks like she needs someone. Michael placed a hand on Lily's shoulder, holding her back. Instinct flared. Protect the boundary. Don't cross into other people's hurt. He had survived by not expecting anyone to stay. The woman turned toward the door. For a brief moment, her eyes scanned the room, not searching, just checking, as if confirming what she already knew. Michael looked away. That was the safe choice, but his daughters didn't. They stood still, open, watching a moment he wanted to escape. Mia spoke again. We could just say hi, she said. No fear, no calculation. Michael shook his head. We don't know her. Lily frowned. She knows how it feels, though. That stopped him cold. The woman reached the door. Cold air rushed in. Then she was gone. Lily's grip loosened. Before Michael could react, she stepped forward, eyes still fixed on the empty space the woman left behind. Lily moved first, and Michael realized his daughters were about to do what he had spent years avoiding. Repeated disappointment trains people to expect nothing. Michael Reed stayed rooted near the counter, coffee warm in his hand, eyes fixed on nothing in particular. The door had already closed behind the woman. The sound barely lingered. Moments like that ended fast. He was used to that. Being left wasn't new to him. It didn't arrive as one clear loss. It came in layers. Friends who slowly stopped calling after his life got complicated. Family who checked in less once help turned into obligation. People who said they'd be there and quietly weren't. Over time, Michael stopped waiting for explanations. He adjusted. That was easier. When his wife died, the exits multiplied. Support showed up briefly, then thinned out. Meals stopped coming. Texts slow. Wed. Eventually, it was just him and the girls. That was when his world narrowed for good. Single parenthood compressed everything. Work became survival. Mornings became logistics. Nights became routines he couldn't afford to disrupt. There was no space left for emotional risks. Every ounce of energy went into keeping things steady. Strangers didn't fit into that system. Their pain was unpredictable. Their needs came without warning. Getting close meant opening doors he had already closed for a reason. Michael learned to stay polite, brief, uninvolved. He told himself it was maturity, wisdom earned the hard way. In truth, distance had become armor. He didn't step toward moments. He stepped around them. That's how he stayed upright. Hope carried weight. Expectation carried consequences. He had learned to live lighter by letting both go. The shop buzzed on. A group squeezed into a booth. Someone spilled sugar packets. No one looked twice at the empty table near the window. The scarf still rested on the chair, forgotten. Michael noticed it and looked away. He didn't need reminders. Exhaustion lived just beneath his calm. It softened his reactions, smoothed his edges. People mistook it for indifference. He never corrected them. Explaining required energy he didn't have. He glanced down at Lily and Mia. They stood close together, still. Watching him now, they had grown up reading him the way other kids read faces in books. They knew when he was pulling inward. They knew when he chose silence over response. He never explained those choices out loud. He didn't need to. They learned by watching him endure. Mia's eyes flicked toward the door, then back to him. She was old enough to, remember people who promised to stay and didn't. She remembered canceled plans, missed birthdays. She learned early how to spot restraint. Lily had learned it too, even if she didn't name it. She knew when adults stopped expecting things. She just hadn't accepted that it was permanent. Michael took a slow sip of coffee. He felt the moment pressing in, asking something of him he didn't want to give. His instinct said, move on, protect the structure, don't add weight. He remembered teaching himself that lesson late at night, sitting alone after bedtime, telling himself that needing less hurt less, that staying self-contained was safer. It worked, mostly, but it also meant moments like this passed untouched. Mia broke the silence. You always say people don't mean to leave, she said. Her voice wasn't accusing, just observant. Michael nodded. They don't, he replied. Lily frowned. Then why do they? He didn't answer right away. There were answers. None of them fit an 8-year-old. Things change, he said finally. Lily looked back at the empty chair. She didn't change, she said. Michael felt that land. He realized then how differently they were seeing this. To him, the moment confirmed what he already knew. People didn't show up. Plans fell apart. You adjusted and moved on. To his daughters, the moment meant something else. It meant someone had been left standing. It meant something unfinished. Something that could still be touched. He shifted his grip on the cup. He felt the familiar urge to end the moment. Leave before hope took shape. That urge had kept him going for years. But the girls didn't share it. They hadn't built their lives around expecting less. They had built them around noticing more. Michael looked at them again. Their faces were open, not afraid, not guarded. He understood the moment one way. They understood it another. While Michael prepared to walk away, his daughters prepared to step toward what he had spent years learning to avoid. Children sense emotional pain long before adults mask it. The woman reached the door, then slowed. Just a second, long enough for the girls to notice. Her hand hovered near the handle. Her shoulders drew in, like she was shrinking herself before stepping outside. Lily saw it first. She always did. She watched faces the way other kids watched screens. The woman wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She was doing something harder. She was folding herself back up. Mia caught it too, the tight smile that came too late. The way the woman adjusted her bag, not because it needed fixing, but because her hands needed something to do. That wasn't confidence. That was embarrassment trying to pass as control. Michael saw movement. That was all. A pause near the door. A stranger leaving. Normal. Expected. He felt the pull to turn away grow stronger. Moments like this only asked for trouble. The girls didn't see trouble. They saw a feeling. She forgot something, Lily whispered. Michael followed her gaze. The gray scarf still hung on the chair. Soft. Ordinary. Left behind without notice. She'll realize later, he said. Mia shook her head. She knows, she said. She just doesn't want to come back. That landed. The woman opened the door halfway. Cold air slipped in again. She hesitated. Not because she expected someone to stop her. Because leaving without being noticed felt heavier than staying. A dull. T.S. learned how to hide that feeling. Kids hadn't yet. Lily took a small step forward. Michael noticed immediately this time. He placed his hand out, blocking her path without looking down. Stay here, he said quietly. She stopped, but she didn't look up at him. Her attention stayed fixed on the woman. She thinks everyone saw, Lily said. Michael frowned. Saw what? Mia answered. That she waited. The woman pulled the door open wider. Her eyes flicked once across the shop. Fast, careful. Like she was checking for witnesses, not help. Michael felt the familiar tightening in his chest. He recognized the moment now. The edge of something he didn't want to feel. He told himself again that it wasn't his responsibility. He had built his life on staying contained, on not reacting to every passing hurt. He had 2 daughters to raise. That focus mattered. Everything else was noise. But the girls weren't filtering the moment that way. They weren't thinking about responsibility, or boundaries, or consequences. They were reading tone, body language, the way the woman's chin lifted just a little too high, the way her mouth set into a line meant to signal she was fine. She wasn't fine. Lily tugged lightly at Michael's sleeve. "She's trying not to look stupid," she said. The word hit him wrong, too honest, too close. "She's not stupid," he replied. "I know," Lily said. "That's why she's embarrassed." Michael didn't respond. He felt the urge to shut the moment down, to move the girls toward the exit, to end this before it asked more of him. He remembered too many times when stepping forward led to disappointment. Too many times when caring turned into carrying something alone. The woman. And took one step outside, then stopped again. Her hand slid back off the handle. She reached up and touched her neck. Only then did she realize the scarf was missing. Her face changed, just slightly, a quick flash of something unguarded. Then it was gone. She looked back inside. Lily's breath caught. "She's going to leave it," Mia said. Michael watched the woman's eyes find the chair, find the scarf. She hesitated. Pride and need pulling in opposite directions. Michael felt his instincts kick in hard. This was the line, the moment where involvement began. He didn't want that. He had survived by not wanting that. "Girls," he said, firmer now. "We're leaving." Mia didn't move. Lily didn't move. They weren't being defiant. They were focused, locked onto something adults had learned to ignore. The woman turned away from the scarf. Decision made. She stepped fully outside this time. Lily reacted before Michael could think. "She's not coming back," Lily said, voice tight. Michael reached for her shoulder. Too late. She slipped past his hand, small sneakers tapping fast against the tile. Mia followed without hesitation. Older, faster, certain. "Lily," Michael said sharply. They didn't stop. They reached the door just as the woman took another step, toward the sidewalk. Before Michael could pull them back, the girls pushed through the door and called out to her. Kindness becomes powerful when it interrupts shame. The sidewalk outside the shop was loud with passing cars and cold wind. The woman walked fast, shoulders tight, eyes forward. She didn't hear the door open behind her at first. "Excuse me." The voice was small, clear. She stopped. Not because she expected anyone. Because... So the word reached her before she could block it. She turned halfway, cautious, already preparing a polite exit. Lily stood there, close enough to be seen, far enough not to crowd. Mia hovered just behind her, steady and calm. No rush, no grabbing, just presence. "You forgot this," Lily said, holding out the gray scarf with both hands. The woman blinked, once, then again. Surprise crossed her face before she could stop it. Not relief, not gratitude, just shock at being noticed at all. "Oh," she said. The word came out soft, unprotected. She reached for the scarf, then hesitated. Her eyes flicked past the girls, checking the space behind them. The glass window. The people inside. The world that had just watched her be left behind. Michael stood frozen in the doorway, heart thudding, control slipping. This wasn't how he would have done it. He would have waited, hesitated, maybe decided not to act at all. The girls hadn't asked permission. They hadn't needed it. The woman took the scarf slowly. Her fingers brushed Lily's by accident. She pulled back, embarrassed, then stopped herself. "Thank you," she said. Lily smiled. Not wide, not proud, just simple. Like this was normal. "You can have it back," Lily added quickly. "We just didn't want you to lose it." There was no pity in her voice, no curiosity, no questions waiting behind the kindness. Mia nodded once, silent support. The woman let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Her shoulders lowered an inch. "Just enough. I didn't even notice," she said. "I guess I was distracted." Michael watched the space change. The sidewalk still hummed. Cars still passed. But the moment narrowed. The noise faded. What had been public seconds ago became private without anyone agreeing to it. The woman knelt slightly, bringing herself closer to their height without crowding them. A choice, not an instinct. "That was really thoughtful," she said. Lily shrugged. "It's cold," Simple logic. No emotion attached. Michael felt something loosen in his chest. He hated how exposed it made him feel. This was why he stayed guarded. Moments like this got inside. The woman glanced up then. Her eyes met his. Just briefly. A question formed there. Unspoken. Michael stepped forward before he could stop himself. One step. Then another. He didn't smile. He didn't explain. He just stood there. Present. I'm Michael, he said. She nodded. I'm Claire. Her voice didn't shake this time. For a second, none of them moved. The girls stood between them like a bridge neither adult had planned to cross. Inside the shop, someone laughed. A door opened. Life continued. But the moment held. Claire wrapped the scarf around her neck. The movement felt slower now. Intentional. Like she wasn't in a hurry anymore. I was supposed to meet someone, she said. Not as an explanation, just a statement. Michael nodded once. No judgment, no questions. He understood more than he wanted to admit. I'm glad you didn't lose this, Mia said. Claire smiled at her. A real one this time. It surprised her too. So am I, she replied. Michael felt the wall he'd built tremble. Not collapse, just shift. The girls had changed the shape of the moment without asking him, without fearing it. He realized then that staying distant hadn't protected his daughters. Watching them step forward had... Claire straightened. She looked toward the street, then back at them, decision hovering. Well, she said softly. She didn't step away. Instead of walking on, Claire paused, as if deciding whether this moment was worth staying in. Being stopped can heal wounds being ignored creates. Claire stayed where she was. The sidewalk waited. The street waited. For once, she didn't rush to keep up. Being left behind was familiar territory. It had followed her through years of almosts, almost relationships, almost plans, messages that slowed, promises that faded without apology. Dating had taught her to expect less with every try. She learned how to keep hope quiet, how to prepare exits before arrivals. She had been stood up more times than she admitted. Each time chipped something down, not trust all at once, just belief. The belief that effort would be met halfway. That was why she hadn't been surprised inside the shop. Disappointed, yes, but not shocked. She had already adjusted her expectations before the chair cooled. What she hadn't expected was this. Two girls, standing steady, looking at her like she mattered, like she hadn't misjudged anything, like she hadn't been foolish for showing up. Lily watched her closely now, not with curiosity, with care, the kind that didn't ask questions. Mia stayed quiet, present, letting space do the work. Claire felt the old instinct rise. Thank them. Smile. Leave quickly before the moment asked for more. That instinct had protected her for years, but it didn't activate fully this time. You didn't have to come after me, Claire said. Lily shook her head. We wanted to. No explanation followed, no reason offered. That was the difference. Inside Claire, something shifted. Humiliation loosened its grip. It didn't disappear, but it stopped leading. In its place came something else, validation, quiet, unannounced. She hadn't imagined the rejection. She hadn't exaggerated it. Someone had seen it, and instead of stepping around it, they had stepped toward her. Michael watched from just behind the girls. He felt heat rise in his chest. Not panic, not fear, something closer to exposure. This warmth unsettled him. He wasn't used to moments that didn't demand payment later. He wasn't used to kindness without expectation. Claire glanced at him again. Longer this time. She noticed the tension in his shoulders, the way he stayed ready to pull back. She recognized it. Your kids are very thoughtful, she said. Michael nodded. They notice things, he replied. He didn't say more. He didn't need to. Claire adjusted the scarf again. Not to fix it, to anchor herself. I almost didn't come today, she admitted. The words surprised her as they left her mouth. I usually cancel before it gets this far. Lily tilted her head. Why? Claire smiled softly. Because sometimes it's easier to leave first. Michael felt that sentence settle deep. It mirrored his own life more than he liked. Mia spoke gently. But then you wouldn't have your scarf. Claire laughed. A real sound, short, unplanned. It startled her. No, she said. I guess I wouldn't. The air between them warmed, not loud, not dramatic, just steady. Claire realized something then. For once, she wasn't chasing. She wasn't apologizing for being there. She wasn't shrinking to exit unnoticed. She was being stayed with. Michael felt his guard weaken another inch. He didn't fight it this time. He noticed how calm the girls were, how natural this felt to them. They weren't waiting for praise. They weren't performing kindness. They were simply present. Trust crept in without invitation. No agreement signed, no future imagined, just a moment refusing to collapse. Claire looked toward the street again. She could still leave. Nothing stopped her. That option remained open, but it felt heavier now. Leaving meant breaking something that hadn't existed minutes ago. She turned back. "I was going to walk to the bus stop," she said. Michael nodded. "It's a few blocks." Lily pointed down the street. "We're parked that way." The words hung there, neutral. No offer made, no pressure added. Claire hesitated. She felt the old reflex tug. Don't impose, don't assume, don't hope, but another feeling held her still. Being chosen. Not romantically, not dramatically, just humanly. She took a slow breath. "I could walk with you," she said. Michael met her eyes. He didn't smile. He didn't retreat. He stayed. "That'd be fine," he answered. As they turned together down the sidewalk, Claire realized leaving now would hurt more than staying. Connection often arrives when expectations collapse. They walked without urgency, side by side. The girls moved between Michael and Claire like they belonged there. No one questioned it, no one named it. The sidewalk stretched ahead, ordinary and unremarkable, yet something about it felt different now. This time had been meant for someone else. Claire knew that. A plan that never showed. An hour that should have ended quietly with disappointment. Instead, it was filling up with footsteps and voices she hadn't expected. Lily kicked a loose pebble as they walked. Mia matched Michael's pace without thinking about it. They acted like anchors, keeping the moment steady without effort. Claire noticed how natural it felt. No awkward apologies, no careful distance. She wasn't being examined or rescued. She was simply included. "That shop gets busy fast," she said, mostly to fill the air. Michael nodded. "It does." Silence followed. Comfortable. Not empty. Michael felt it too. The absence of pressure. The way his shoulders dropped without permission. Emotional distance had been his default for so long that he barely recognized its absence. Yet here it was. Softening. Quietly stepping back. He watched his daughters. How they stayed close but not clingy. How they checked Claire's pace without staring. They weren't forcing conversation. They were sharing space. That was new for him. Emotional safety had always meant control, predictability, staying contained. But this felt safe in a different way. Open, unplanned. Claire adjusted her scarf again. She realized she hadn't thought about the man who didn't show up in several minutes. That surprised her. The absence no longer dominated the moment. "You walk this way often?" Michael asked. "Sometimes," she replied. "Usually alone." The word landed lightly. No complaint attached, just truth. Michael absorbed it. He understood that kind of alone. The kind that became routine without ever becoming easy. Lily glanced up at Claire. "Do you like walking?" Claire smiled. "I do," she said. "It helps me think." Mia nodded, satisfied with the answer. The group crossed the street together. Traffic paused, then resumed. The city kept moving, unaware of the small shift happening inside all of them. Claire felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest. Not hope, not excitement. Something steadier. Belonging without demand. She wasn't performing or proving. She was just there. Michael noticed how easily she fit into the rhythm of the walk. How nothing about it felt forced. He had expected discomfort. Instead, he felt calm. This was how healing happened, he realized. Not in declarations, not in promises, but in shared minutes that asked for nothing in return. They reached the corner where Claire usually turned toward the bus stop. She slowed, not stopped. Just slower. "This is me," she said. No one rushed the moment. Michael nodded. "We're a bit farther down." The girls didn't say anything. They waited. Claire hesitated. She felt the familiar urge to exit cleanly, say goodbye, thank them, return to her routine. That instinct still lived in her, but loneliness had loosened its grip, just slightly, enough to make leaving feel premature. I could keep walking, she said, surprising herself again. If that's okay? Michael didn't hesitate this time. Yeah, he said. They turned together. The bus stop receded behind them. Time stretched instead of closing. Claire felt lighter, not because something new had begun, but because something old had loosened. She wasn't being left. She was choosing to stay. Michael felt the shift too. He had spent years believing safety meant staying closed. Now he felt how safety could also mean staying present, letting moments exist without bracing for loss. The girls walked ahead a few steps now, whispering, laughing softly. They checked back often, making sure the adults followed. Michael smiled without noticing. They reached the parking lot. Reality waited there. Cars, schedules, responsibilities. The shape of real life reasserting itself. Michael reached for his keys. The sound cut through the moment sharper than he expected. Claire heard it too. The signal that this wasn't timeless, that it had edges. She slowed again. As the car came into view, Claire realized this moment now had an ending, and neither of them was ready to let it go. Fear speaks loudest when hope appears uninvited. The parking lot lights flickered on one by one. Evening settled without asking. Cars pulled in and out. Doors opened and closed. Normal sounds, normal endings. Michael stood by his car, keys still in his hand. He didn't unlock the door. He didn't move. Old instincts stirred. Moments ended. People left. That was how things stayed manageable. This felt different, and that scared him. He had reopened wounds before. Let people close. Let routine soften. Each time loss followed. He remembered how long it took to steady his daughters after those moments. How much rebuilding silence required. Claire stood a few steps away. She hugged her scarf closer, even though the cold hadn't deepened. Her fear ran a different path, not loss, burden. She didn't want to overstay, didn't want to become something that needed managing. She had learned that lesson well. You leave before someone feels obligated to make space for you. The girls waited between them, calm, balanced, watching both adults carefully. They didn't feel the need to rush anyone. They had already decided the moment mattered. Lily swung her backpack gently. Mia folded her hands in front of her, posture relaxed. No tension, no doubt. Michael noticed that. Their steadiness grounded him. They weren't anxious. They weren't clinging. They trusted the present without demanding a future. He wished he could do that. Claire cleared her throat. I don't want to keep you, she said. Her tone was careful. Light. The words carried years of practice. You're not, Michael replied. Too quickly. He slowed himself. We're not in a rush. It was true. And admitting that felt risky. Silence returned. Not empty. Heavy with choices. Michael felt the pull to retreat. End things cleanly. Say goodbye while the moment stayed intact. That urge had protected him before. It had also kept his world small. Claire felt her own urge rise. Thank them. Step back. Let the evening return to its expected shape. Staying too long risked awkwardness. Risked need. The girls didn't share those fears. Lily looked up at Claire. Are you going home now? She asked. Claire hesitated. Eventually, she said. Mia tilted her head. You don't sound sure. Claire smiled at that. Honest, slightly surprised. I guess I'm not, she admitted. Ed. Michael watched the exchange. No pressure, no agenda. Just truth allowed to exist. Something shifted inside him. Retreat suddenly felt like avoidance, not wisdom. He remembered nights when his daughters asked questions he couldn't answer. Times when staying present had mattered more than being prepared. He had shown up then. Even when it scared him, this wasn't so different. I usually don't do things like this, he said, the words surprising him too. Unplanned. Claire nodded. Me neither. They shared a look. Recognition without explanation. The fear didn't disappear. It softened, made room for something else. Courage, small, unannounced. Michael unlocked the car but didn't open the door. He leaned against it instead, choosing to stay in the moment a little longer. Claire noticed. Her shoulders relaxed. Just a fraction. I was embarrassed earlier, she said quietly. In the cafe. Michael met her eyes. You didn't look like it. She shook her head. That's the point. The girls listened without interrupting. They had already given what they needed to give. Now they let the adults catch up. Michael felt vulnerability settle in. Uncomfortable. Necessary. Avoidance had kept him safe. Vulnerability let him be human. I'm glad you didn't leave right away, he said. Claire breathed out slowly. Me too. The night air cooled. Lights reflected off windshields. Time kept moving, even as the moment stretched. Michael realized something then. This wasn't about romance, or plans, or replacing what had been lost. It was about choosing presence when leaving felt easier. Claire felt it too. Being seen without being claimed, being welcomed without being needed. That kind of connect. Tion didn't trap you, it steadied you. The girls stepped closer to Michael now, not to pull him away, to include him. Lily reached for his hand. He let her. Mia looked up at Claire. You can come say hi to our dog someday, she said. Casual, sincere, no expectation attached. Claire laughed softly. I'd like that. Michael felt the meaning of the night reshape itself. This wasn't a near miss. It was a choice made in small steps. Staying didn't guarantee anything. Leaving didn't protect you from pain. He understood that now. As they stood together under the parking lot lights, Michael realized this night wasn't ending. It was changing what staying meant. Being chosen can undo years of rejection. They didn't rush the goodbye. No one checked a clock. The parking lot lights cast long shadows, but the moment stayed bright in its own way. Claire stood with the scarf wrapped neatly around her neck. It felt different now. Not like something forgotten, like something returned on purpose. She noticed how she was standing, upright, not braced, not preparing an exit in her head. That was new. For years, abandonment had defined her rhythm. Show up, hope quietly, leave before it hurt too much. Tonight broke that pattern. Michael leaned against the car, shoulders relaxed for once. He felt exposed and steady at the same time. Emotional distance had been his shield for so long that he forgot it was optional. He wasn't hiding now. He wasn't performing strength either. He was just present. The girls stood close. Lily held Michael's hand without squeezing. Mia stayed near Claire, comfortable in the space she had helped create. They watched adults do something they rarely saw. Stay. Claire looked at the girls again. You know, she said, voice warm. You changed my whole night. Lily smiled. You changed it yourself. That landed deep. Claire realized she wasn't replaying the cafe scene anymore. The empty chair had lost its power. It no longer defined her. What defined her now was this: being noticed, being included, being chosen without conditions. Michael watched her face soften. He recognized that shift. He had lived on the other side of it for years. The slow unlearning of resignation. I usually keep to myself, he said. It's easier. Claire nodded. Easier doesn't always mean better. The girls listened, learning without being taught. Compassion modeled instead of explained. Michael felt something settle inside him. A new definition of resilience. Not pushing through alone. Not shutting doors early. Resilience could also mean letting people stand beside you when they offered. The night air cooled. The lot grew quieter. Still, no one moved to leave. Claire felt lighter than she had in months. Not because something romantic had begun, because something human had. She wasn't waiting to be picked. She already had been. She looked at Michael. Thank you for not pulling them back, she said gently. He understood what she meant. He nodded. Thank you for staying. The girls exchanged a quick look, a shared victory without celebration. This was how found families started, not with plans, with moments that refused to fade. Michael unlocked the car at last. The sound didn't cut the moment this time. It fit into it. We should head home, he said. Lily groaned softly. Mia smiled. Claire laughed. I should catch my bus, she said. They stood there again. Another pause. Different from the last. Not fear-based, choice-based. Mia broke it. We walk this way sometimes, she said, pointing. You could walk with us again. No pressure. No promise. Claire felt hope replace quiet resignation. Not loud hope, steady hope. The kind that didn't demand outcomes. "I'd like that," she said. They walked together for a block, then another. The city felt kinder under their feet. At the bus stop, Claire stopped. She turned to them, really looking now. The girls, Michael, the space they had made. "I wasn't stood up tonight," she said softly. "I was chosen." Michael met her eyes. "We were two." The bus approached in the distance, headlights cutting through dusk. Claire hugged Lily gently, then Mia. Then she looked at Michael. No rush, no awkwardness, just gratitude shared cleanly. "I'll see you," she said. "Not a question." Michael nodded. "Yeah. You will." The bus doors opened. Claire stepped on, then turned back once more. She lifted a hand, not waving goodbye, acknowledging something that would continue. The doors closed. The bus pulled away. Michael stood with his daughters, watching it disappear. He didn't feel the usual drop. No hollow echo. Just warmth. Lily squeezed his hand. "Dad," she said, "that was good." He smiled. "Yeah," he said. "It was." They turned toward home. Together. What began as rejection didn't end that night. It quietly became the start of something lasting. If this story stayed with you, it's because a part of it felt familiar. Stories like this only travel when people pass them forward. So if it moved you, let it reach someone else. And stay with this channel for more moments that matter. Now ask yourself this. If you were there that night, would you have walked away? Or would you have stayed?